No, I'm not. Right. Who are we waiting on here? Councillor Bevan and Debbie Hewitt. Right. Okay, so we finished with a question or a request. No, it was a request, actually, from Councillor Barker. So, Mr. Drew, do you want to kick back into where we were, perhaps? Or
well, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I think we've sort of travelled and then we deviated a bit. I was just referring to another series of adjustments, but I think we've been through them, the Rotanifa and the interest rates, all of which we're aware of. The audit report's been, well, not the full audit report, but the clearance has been received, and the audit report will follow. And the only other point well, a couple of other points. I mean, there are a number of amendments to the final LTP in the groups of activities and policies and what have you. And in the interest of councils being able to sort of find them, we've put them in coloured italics, so it made it hopefully helpful to you, because it is a very big document. So coloured italics, so if you look at the financial strategy, for instance, there are a significant number of coloured italics to give you an idea of the changes, and of course there would be a number of changes given the resolutions made by council between the 8th and 10th of this month. In-house production and printing will commence when the plan's approved, and they go out 1 month after the approval, which is estimated to be mid-July, so that's a little bit of process.
so you've had 9 sets of eyes poring over this stuff, at least, around the table. Is this being proofed at the moment?
It's still, thank you, Mr. Chairman. No,
so if there was any minor adjustments that people may have found,
very happy to.
So can we deal with that now, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
And then get back to the decision on where on setting the LTP, etc. So, has anyone got any?
I think this particular one is minor enough to have it changed and keep it in. Well, keep it factually correct, but also in with the decisions of as minuted of the hearing, and that is on page 14 under other matters. In the first paragraph, there's a statement: Council retains Māori Technical Advisory Group for input. We actually don't have a Māori Technical Advisory Group, so it is not correct. And if we go back to the minutes, they confirmed the existence of a technical advisory group over a range of matters, including the confirmation of the position of the senior planner with cultural. So that's, if we really need to actually look at the wording in the minutes, which is on page 25, and tie that up.
The minutes.
And it was as amended with that senior planning position with appropriate expertise in Māori cultural.
Okay, we'll reword that. Yep.
So did you have any other bits and pieces you've found in this document? Or did anyone, actually?
I just want to get to the salient points that we as council will be dealing with on the streets. So the rate rise is currently in the long-term plan is 5.87.
Yes.
That's correct?
Yes, I think so.
The tourism at the 300 grand, the tourism component of that rate rise is 3.7%?
Of
the tourism component of the rate rise.
The extra 300.
Yeah.
It's the difference between, I didn't bring a calculator, difference between 3.95 and the 4.
About 1.9.
Oh, sorry.
About 1.9.
Yeah.
So of that is 1.9% tourism.
Yeah, approximately.
Okay. I'm just trying to work out. So a family in Flaxmere, with the average rate, it's about $8 a year. In total?
No, it's
Cent a day.
It's
$1 cent a day.
$3.75 increase.
The difference is, councillor, that the, between what was put out in the consultation document and what's come back with the tourism is the way that that tourism money's made up, because it's actually a targeted rate, it's a set amount per property rather than based on the capital value or land value like a good part of the rate is. So it's actually, the increase for that Flaxmere property is $3.75 a year. So it's not another $8, it's $3.75 per year.
That's the total rate at the 5.
That's the increase.
At the 5.87 increase.
Yes.
So I'm quite say for Flaxmere property to a Flaxmere resident when they go crazy at me, I'd say it's going to cost you $4.
A cent a day.
Can I just clarify, is that total,
It's-
or is that just the component that's caused by the
Yep, the
300,000.
tourism horseback?
Councillor, if we look at page 207, Flaxmere, there's a Flaxmere property there, and it's probably perhaps a typical one hopes. Page 207.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll notice that there's 4 urban properties assessed, and the third one along is Flaxmere.
I'm looking at comparison rates on specific.
Okay, it's Flaxmere,
Yeah.
and for that Flaxmere property, it's going, that rate will increase $7.39, which is an increase of 5.3%. Now, prior to the decision to have an increased allocation for tourism, that Flaxmere property in the consultation document papers had a $3.14 increase, which was 2.2%. Okay. So the tourism has moved it from 3.14 to 7.39, and an increase from 2.3 to 5.3. Yeah. So Taradale property is going up $16, which is 5.9, and they were going up in the CD document, consultation document, they had an increase of $13.90, and it was an increase of approximately 5%.
That overall increase in there is a mixture of fixed capital and land base though, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's a bit hard to work out.
Well, it is, and
Yeah.
also the percentages come off the base, so
Yeah.
if you're paying more rates, then your percentage increase will be less, because the percentage increase of $3.77 for tourism. If it's over a 200 rate base, then it's a smaller percentage than over a rate base of 100. These tables are quite a challenge.
Councillor Hewitt.
But can I just follow up on that? The actual economic development rate is a UAGC, and that rate has moved.
It's a UAC
Oh,
on...
sorry, UAC.
Yeah, UAC on rural, or on rural and residential.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that has moved from the current year from 1753 to the new year of 2182.
That's... Oh, yeah, okay.
Councillor Hewitt.
Yeah, I know where you are. Yes, it has 1753 to 2182.
Yeah.
Which is 375
Yeah.
increase.
Plus.
Oh, plus.
The 70.
Yeah. Oh, to be fair, if we take the Taradale one, the current one is 1753. Well, the consultation document had that going to where is it? I have to find the same property. Taradale. Yeah,
Economic development
it had
just
going
applies
to-
to all residential properties, and it's the same increase whether they're in Flaxmere or on a farm.
Sorry.
What did Taradale do?
Taradale, currently for the economic development rate, it's 1750, the consultation document had it going to $18, and now we've got it going to 21.82. So the difference between the consultation document and what we've got in front of us is the 375.
Councillor Hewitt, did we get to you?
Going to need some help with how to best slot this in, but I need to test the water here, so I'd like to move an amendment that we
Well-
take tourism.
Well, there's no motion yet, but I'll tell you what, you keep that in mind.
Well, I'm not quite sure how to integrate it, so can you help me as we go?
Okay, but we'll get it moved and seconded.
I'm prepared to move.
They can speak, and then you can come in with an amendment.
To get things started.
Just-
Modify the recommendation.
Just before we do, any other questions or around some of the wording perhaps, or that sort of thing, just to make sure this is still being proofread? If you've got anything you want to add, now's the time to do it, or question, or whatever, a typo, whatever.
Yep.
So I'll go to Councillor Bevan. Haven't
Okay,
heard from you.
page 100. The right-hand column. Page 100, the right-hand column, just above the word activities, the subheading.
Yep.
It's got the significance of the MPS and how that may reflect in the current water management program will be determined by 2013. Why are we doing this?
Water management.
Ian?
I think that's 2015, isn't it?
Groundhog Day, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it should be 2025, which is when the MPS is
2025.
required to be.
Oh, good catch.
Well spotted.
Okay, second thing, page 10. Now, I have no idea how widely distributed this document is, but it's beyond me to read the wording on that page, and I think there is space there to enlarge the lettering somewhat, and I think we should do that.
Yeah, or just, while Councillor Bevan's on a roll, what else have you got there?
The next one was a query on page 214, and I think I've probably asked you this before, Paul, but I can't remember what your answer is. If you look at the second to last column from the right, it's got the estimated amount per $100,000.
Yeah.
And I, for the life of me, can't work out why there should be a variation depending on whether you're a Napier or a Rangatiki between $9 per 100,000 and 15. Can you please explain why they're not all the same?
Yes,
number?
yes, Councillor. It's all to do with equalised land. In this case, equalised land value. The valuations in Hawke's Bay, within the Hawke's Bay region, the valuations in Napier and Hastings and Wyre and Central Hawke's Bay are taken out at different times. So if you, for example, have a recent valuation or revaluation, government revaluation in Napier City, normally the properties are slightly higher than the other three because there was a catch-up. And if that's the case, then Napier City per 100,000 of land value would have a slightly less rate, and the others would have slightly more, so as you equalise it.
So this is all to do with the timing of valuations of properties?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Would it also have an impact on the nature of the properties in that area? Not just the valuation, so the types of properties?
Yes,
so
yes,
the
it would be.
Rangatiki be predominantly farmland, whereas the others would be predominantly something
Yes,
different?
because it all comes back to the valuation of a particular property, what their land value is, and the rate will apply to the land value. So if a particular property went down, then they'd be better off than ones. Because you'll always get that mix, as you'll appreciate.
One other, page 166. The very top line, expenditure on community partnerships, which in the previous 2 years has been 2.3 million and 1.5 million, and suddenly it becomes 800,000, and then it goes to 300,000. What's happening here?
Perhaps like
Oh,
Bob,
yes,
yeah,
it's
you
the
know,
grants.
it's the grants for the Wairoa Community Centre, the ones that we previously used for the sports parks and so
Okay.
forth.
Yep, yep, okay.
Councillor Belford.
On page 101, there is a number of different accounts that are described as relating to water management, such as regional groundwater research, groundwater quantity, water information services, etc. The dollar, what's the dollar amount? If I go to page 89, water management for year one of this plan is about 3.8 million. Does this set of project areas account for the 3.8 million? I'm just trying to get a sense of what the
Yes, it does.
amount of money available is in that
Yeah, the
area.
answer is yes on that. Yeah, I think the answer is yes. The activity 3, water management, with all those projects, the financial allocation for 15-16 is 3.7 million.
So that's the, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Scott.
I just want to make a check, and I do thank the staff for all the highlighted changes, but and some of the financials are not there. So it's what I haven't picked up. On page 184 on the overall rates, is the only decision that we made that has impacted on a change in rate the economic development levy?
Yes, the only change in rates from the consultation document was to do with the economic development rate, and the impact it had on the final rate.
So any other decisions that we made that had some sort of funding have been absorbed into existing budgets?
At the referendum.
Yeah, the poll on amalgamation fell to the bottom line, and we took
But
it in as
that's
a
not,
deficit.
it doesn't have an impact on rates
No,
because
it
it has
doesn't.
an impact on the deficit.
Yes, it was an increase
Yeah.
in deficit.
Yeah.
It was. So the only increase, the only changes in rates is it was due to that decision on tourism. All the rest, right across the years, are the same, aren't they, Anton? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So, Councillor Graham.
Just more of a comment to Mr. Adey. I noticed on page 31, infrastructure assets, that just given these recent floods, it may be an opportunity for us to go back to the community, especially in Heratonga, and have that discussion that you're alluding to here, that we could bring those actions forward, but they'd have to pay. It may be quite, I think just the discussion itself would be really useful.
We need to be able to resource it if we.
Yeah,
if
no,
we
they would
do,
have to
and
pay,
that's-
but
yeah.
if we sat in the Twyford Hall and said, this could happen, guys, what do you want to do? I think if at least we've talked about it.
Yep.
I'd like to see that discussion happen, given what's happening all around the blooming country at the moment.
Happy to join you at Twyford Hall.
Okay.
So Mike, could you just then clarify, sorry, for councillors, because council has previously agreed to increase the
Yep.
stock bank design from 100 to 1 and 500. So just in terms of the timing of it, please.
Okay, I'll go. We took out loans to fund the sawfly remediation work in 2005, I think, if this works. And there were, we took out quite significant loans over a 3-year period for 10 years. Each of those loans were 10 years. Now, next year, so we are paying back, or the scheme is paying back $640,000 in capital plus interest every year on those, on a total loan take of 6.4 million. The last year of 6.4 million is next year, and then it drops down to, I can't remember, 410, and then about 140, and then nothing. And so the consultation we had with the community last long-term plan was three options. Do you want to increase the level of protection that you've been provided? And if so, do you want it now, or are you happy that we undertake a capital works program over the next 15 to 20 years, or alternatively, do you want your rates dropped? And basically there was overwhelming support for keeping the rates as is, plus inflation, and undertaking a capital works program. Now, until we go through and determine exactly the design philosophy that we need to use, in other words, the capacity that we should be designing for, etc., and prioritise that work, it's difficult to do a more exact assessment of the likely cost, but we sort of put it in at around about 15 million. So that would mean we can generally do a capital works program using rates at about $1 million a year, there or thereabouts. So this program could take 15 years unless they want to bring it forward. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So no other commentary around the content of this? So, Councillor Dick, you were happy to move?
I'll move the recommendations as circulated.
Oh, could we get an explanation on that, actually?
Sorry, there was one. I actually did have a hand up, you just didn't see.
Oh, okay. No,
So, there was just one other query, Paul, and this is page 256, where we have expressed our expected rate of return on various investments at 6%. And I've spent a bit of time thinking about this and its appropriateness, and I'm interested to know how that compares with other local body expectations. Is that in line, or are they generally higher or lower?
Councillor, off the top of my head, I find it difficult to answer. I mean, I'm not aware of too many councils. I talk to the CFOs a lot. I'm not aware of any major projects that they're actually getting underway, to be fair. So no, I can't answer that.
Okay, I mean, my personal view is it's low, but maybe that's the norm for local bodies, and I'd certainly like some research done to assure us that our expectation is a standard expectation for this type of project.
Yeah, I think, Councillor, it's some of those figures have been set because of the source of the funds. If it was borrowed or future borrowings, it would be higher. I mean, the source of those funds, are, as you know, is from the sell down of our leasehold property. So there's and they're also rates based on projects that are slow to start from delivering economic benefits. So there's a little bit concessionary approach in them.
Oh, and we're told by HBRC that we need to think about using our money to get things going and expect a lower rate of return. I just want to be assured that what we're doing is reasonably normal for a local body embarking upon this sort of process.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair.
I think we're ready to get into the debate. And you're happy to second, are you, Councillor Scott, wish to speak?